And welcome back once again to the PCS Spring Split 2022. 4 games down, 2 to go as we look to close out week number 4. And PSG retake the rift to try and close out a perfect week to go 6-0 up against Meta Falcon team. Let's see if the University squad can pull off the interrupt here, Nightstar, as we get ready to go in this penultimate game for the week. But before we do that, I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, CTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now, Nightstar, on paper, still a pretty heavy favorite here for the side of PSG, but what can Meta Falcon team do to interrupt the perfect 6-0 week?
I think it comes down to bringing a lot of aggression during the early game, just because we haven't seen PSG necessarily super tested when it comes to the early skirmishes. Even in the DCG game, like, they found a pick onto Viego. He goes in for the ground, perhaps a little bit too aggressive there, and gets punished. So it was a good pick coming in from DCG. MFT, I would assume, watched that earlier game. They'll try and look to make plays and perhaps get aggressive in Juhan's face.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key to trying to get the interrupt right. At the same time, PSG, they just look so clean. They've looked so good around the map. It seems like nobody can stop them. The only loss they have was against Beyond Gaming early on, and now they sit atop the standings looking to put even more distance between themselves and the rest of the PCS. And, you know, we talked about it's a different squad. There's no more Maple. There's no more River. They've gone their separate ways, but the core is intact. And with Juhan and Bay, it feels like the PSG dominance train's coming back into the station here, Nightstar. But maybe MFT have an answer. We've seen this team pull out some interesting compositions. I'm excited to see what they can do. And they, of course, are Taco 665, Wen, Whale, and Epic. Now, Whale had a pretty solid Jinx game yesterday, and Taco got to play Victor top. So still the unconventional compositions continue.
You know, I think Victor top could have worked. Unfortunately,
Could have.
It, shows you the susceptibility of playing mages in that top lane, and that if you are dove, the game really runs away from you very quickly. And we are going to have that as our highlight matchup here. Of course, Taco being on a losing team, naturally his goal difference is going to be down there. But what is cool to see is the fact that his first blood victim rate is only 9, because his jungler tends to get caught out in weird spots.
We don't have to talk about that part, I suppose. Yeah, it is a little bit of an oddball stat to be highlighting, but he definitely doesn't get destroyed early as much, and I think that is that's still a positive. It still counts for something. At the same time, I think Taco has shown a lot of champion diversity. He's unafraid to really experiment a little bit, but I would like to see him shore up his advantages on some of the more standard picks. However, up against Hanabi, it's going to be tough to do, and I wonder if the answer is to just try and pull something weird out like that Mordekaiser and try to throw out Hanabi off his game. It's just so hard to do. This guy's so experienced. He knows how to play weak side. He knows how to lose a lane gracefully, and more often than not, he's the one winning it. You got to give this guy a lot of props for what he's been able to do. Pretty much ever since Worlds this year, he's kind of been the strong sider. But we are into picks and bans. Akali off the board. It's another champion we've seen Taco play. No, excuse me. Yeah, we have seen Taco play that one. And the Aphelios is actually banned up here. And the Jinx, are they going to opt to just like trifecta, get rid of the Zeri? This is an interesting strategy.
They could try and bait out the Zeri pick.
Maybe they got a counter.
I mean, they did beat the Zeri.
They did. It was impunity, though, right? I mean, they're just gonna ban it. I guess they're scared of Unified. I mean, this is gonna change the pick ban away from what we've normally seen.
I mean, it immediately just shifts it to the Rise, right?
Yeah.
So MFT, I think what they're looking for with this rotation, you would go for something like the Hecarim, I suppose. I'm surprised we haven't seen more Udyr in our league, because Udyr is a very early game focused pick, and our meta right now is just so driven for this early game, at least from the PCS perspective. But MFT, they go ahead, lock in the Renekton at the very least in combination with the Diana, provides solid early game options. I expect this to go into the hands of Wen for that Renekton, but it still can be tossed up into that top lane.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the one game that 665 did get to play Diana, they did win. Admittedly, it was against Hurricane Gaming, but it's certainly a positive track record to show, and that game did see Wen on the Renekton. However, with all the expended bans on bot side, try saying that 5 times fast, PSG do have the option to pick up the Lovers Duo, which we've seen to great effect already today. Really, honestly, no surprises here. I think Unified and Kaiwing, they're such a strong duo. It makes sense to throw that into the mix. And PSG just don't seem to be fazed by this shift up in the draft.
Yeah, for MFT here on this third pick, you could... Oh, okay. I was going to say Tristana. You could go for something like a Galio if you wanted to just go Renekton, Diana, Galio. That would be really interesting. And then for an AD carry, perhaps you just, again, opt for something like the Sivir, who can wave clear against Azaya, but you can also help in that front line. But it looks like Whale wants to try and take charge of this lane, so I expect a very aggressive support, and for PSG to take a look at those aggressive supports and ban them out.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. The Tristana part doesn't necessarily to me. We haven't really seen a whole lot of success on that champion. The split, things like Jhin have been available as well, so I'm a little bit surprised there. As the Xin Zhao gets banned away, they are focusing on trying to remove some of the power junglers, recognizing Juhan as a bit of a threat, but there is the Leona band out now. Other options, they could go for the Nautilus as well if they wanted to, but continuing jungle focus, that is going to be a Volibear ban away, another champion that can also flex a little bit around.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Epoch decides to pivot for something like an Alistar. I think Alistar would fit relatively well in this comp, because of how much wombo it has. You could also run a Galio support in this.
It's true.
In this lineup, given that it is a Rakan. So while Rakan has a good time against the Galio support, at the very least, you don't get dunked in the matchup. You could also look for something maybe like a set for more damage. Honestly, you need some sort of high kill pressure.
What? Okay. I mean, in the right circumstances, you've got high kill pressure from Renata. I am really curious to see how this fits into the composition. Okay. We've seen one already in the PCS, and it did not work.
So this combination is essentially Tristana gets to hyper aggressively jump in. You throw down the bailout. So even if the Tristana dies, she gets bailed out, and you have another chance to get your reset to then get the res and then jump out. I think that's the idea behind this bot lane combination. It makes some sense to me mentally. I don't know if that will work out, because when you do early pick this Renata, it means that PSG, like this Gnar, while isn't necessarily a great pick, but mini Gnar is really annoying to deal with as a Renata because of that extra range. So I think it really just comes down to Hanabi on his Gnar timings, because on Mega Gnar, he can get heavily punished, right? He jumps in, and if he immediately gets hit by Renata ult, like, that hostile takeover is going to expend a lot of Hanabi's Gnar bar.
Yeah, that could be rough, but PSG certainly know their way around this champion, know their way around this type of composition. Comfort picks kind of all around here. With Unified and Kaiwing playing the Lovers Duo, they're going to have a lot of range to work with as well, which is going to make it a little bit tough for Epic to hit those ultimates where he wants to. Hanabi continues to be, I think, far and away the best Gnar in the PCS. probably the only person I really recommend playing it based on what we've seen so far. So there is a lot of faith to be had there for this PSG side. But it is worthy of note that the Meta Falcon team have really thrown a wrench into the works right now. I'm curious to see how this comp works out. It's not easy to execute, but the wins that Meta Falcon team have all been on compositions that aren't necessarily the easiest. This is a team that really touts their teamwork because they stuck together past the university squad. Kind of putting it all on that right now. If they can pull off the upset here, Nightstar, as unlikely as it might be, that is a massive, massive victory to interrupt the perfect week there for PSG. But as we get loaded onto the Rift, Glask Industries are open for business. Will Meta Falcon team be able to find a win off that? Adding in the Kennen, the Renekton, the Diana. There is a lot of deletion potential there.
Yeah, so the interesting part is the fact that the last pick that we didn't get to touch on from Meta Falcon team was that Kennen. So even after seeing Lee Sin, they go ahead and opt into the Kennen pick, which I personally don't really like because now you essentially made a very easy kick target for Juhan, and that all he has to do is just constantly mark this Kennen pick. And given the fact that he has to play up against Hostile Takeover, most likely he just ends up playing a bit more of a passive Lee Sin playstyle when it comes to approaching team fights, unless if he has a clear kick target, which he doesn't, because if you look at across MFT, like, you're not kicking into your team a Kennen, Diana, Renekton, not even a Tristana, because Tristana can just jump out. So it just kind of comes down to maybe you try and get a pick onto this Renata early on. That could certainly do a number. But all eyes on this bottom lane, because this is the spicy duo that the side of MFT have picked in response to the Lovers Duel.
Yeah, you had to think this is at least a little bit pre-planned because of how high a prio they put on the Tristana before the next ban phase. I'm excited to see it. I like when people play weird stuff in the bot because of how, I don't want to say stale the meta has been, but certainly because of how handshaky it's been for so long with the Jinx and the Aphelios. So kudos to MFT for trying something different. I also like 665 getting a chance to play on this Diana, which has just kind of been a permaban against just about everybody, it seems. So we are underway. Level 1s don't expect too many shenanigans, but we do have to keep an eye as we don't get to see that many Renata games in this league. And we already have a trade following up. Looks like it's a slight win there for Whale and Epic.
Yeah, so the fun part here is going to be the fact that she has gone for the Glacial Augment, which means once you hit Handshake, it will also apply a very annoying slow onto you. So you can yoink people towards you because the Glacial Augment's going to proc on where they got locked down. Then it is a very difficult time to walk back towards your team.
Right. So even though they are a little bit lower in the health bar, at least Epic is right now, still threatening and getting the push in early on against the Sire Khan. Also worth mentioning that there's a fairly interesting spread of summoner spells, right? Ignite on Kaiwing and Exhaust on both Unified and Epic, whereas Whale is rocking that Cleanse, which I do think makes a lot of sense given the amount of CC that they're facing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Exhaust makes a lot of sense here for Unified. Again, I don't think heal is very good for a lot of AD carries. I think you're much better off taking either Exhaust or Cleanse, and given that there's so much dive coming in from MFT, the extra 250 HP, 350 HP you're getting from a heal isn't going to do a whole lot for you. If you're able to time the Exhaust really well on the Diana before she unloads her entire combination, that is worth way, way more value.
Oh, that's for sure. Given the opportunity. On patch 12.4, we've seen a handful of Renata games, some of them, of course, taking place around other leagues. I believe in the LPL, the LCK have had a handful of games on that as well. Okay. When gets joined by 665 very briefly, just to soak a little bit of EXP. So far continues to be a quiet early game. I mean, the Diana's not going to be involved in the ganks as early. I feel like Juhan maybe weighing his options a little bit more, but he's not necessarily been the most aggressive jungler in his debut in the early stages of the game. It's certainly been a little bit more about those team fights. He is going to run straight in 665, though. After the scuttle timer, that is a lot of damage right there. That's going to force the flash, but Juwon can follow, and is he going to get a solo first blood? He does. Bay will come to the rescue. I think they can trade right back.
Oh, no.
He flashes right out. Wen can't finish it. 2-0 for PSG Talon.
This has been one of the big things from... Oh, we're more fighting.
Into the Ignite. That's going to be enough. Oh, Epic. He's able to save his own life for just a second there.
Not enough.
But that is not enough.
Actually flashing forward. I'm not sure what he was trying to accomplish by flashing forward, and maybe it was a bit of a misclick and a bit of a panic flash. But it does mean that double summoners are down on this support, and anytime you are playing an enchanter support, if you lose both of your summoners, it makes for a very return gank target. So while we haven't seen any action coming in from Juwon, and he's taken typically a more passive approach to early games, even when he's given aggressive junglers like the Lee Sin, you can certainly say he's going to have a big target down on that bot lane very shortly.
Yeah, you have to think. Already getting lined up there by Kaiwing, who just has a great setup on the Rakan. Now Epic is actually going to go a roaming, but he's going to get spotted again, has to walk the long way now, as he was hoping to get involved in the mid up against the likes of Bay, who has a level advantage over Wen. Worth noting here, Bay on this rise has been having a great time. Not going to be threatened at all. Minion DMAT to clear that final one.
Yeah, and of course Wen dying there means that he misses out on CM EXP, so he's just trying to crash that wave, which at the very least is going to force out the teleport coming in from Bay. And one of the issues that 665 has had is that he tends to his pathing has been somewhat questionable at times. Not like jungle pathing itself, but just like walking around the map. He's sometimes taking shortcuts when it comes to just trying to walk through the map, and it's been punished quite mightily. That was yet another case of that, where he expends all his cooldowns to take down that Scuttle Crab, and then he meets Juwon, and yeah.
I think 665 has definitely struggled a little bit in translating his performance from both collegiate and some of the more tier 2, tier 3 cups that this squad has participated in onto the big stage. And maybe the pathing, he just got away with it a little bit more in those leagues. It's not going to fly so much in the PCS. And this time he hasn't been necessarily punished. However, Juwon's there. There's the threat. Wen can come to the rescue, but so can Bay. This time 665 has enough damage to turn it. And that is before Moonfall, by the way.
Yeah, but at the same time, while Wen was making his way over, he did get heavily chunked out.
Oh, Whale forced to flash. Nicely played by Unified and Kaiwing. Already chunked out a little bit, and oof.
Unified has level 6 too, so a lot of burst damage potential coming out, and now they're just going to set up, try and steal away this red buff. I think it's going to go over them without much trouble, although MFT, we'll see if they just decide to flip the game here.
Yeah, 665 may want the fight here. Wen has dominance on. Oh, look at that Taco going in on the Maelstrom. They will take out Juwon. Can they get even more out of it? Bay trying for the great escape. He will be able to get out over the Shelly Pit. And Hanabi covers his escape, so could have been a lot more costly, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, 665. I don't know about that one, buddy. Yeah, he. Oh, you want to talk about sus pathing? Right there.
I'm tilted.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know what that was. I really have no idea. There was no need to hop that wall.
I'm not sure if 665 is tilted, but I'm certainly tilted from watching that. And he just gifts over a kill back into the hands of PSG and is really needless. You can see him kind of laughing it on camera, but I'm not laughing about that one.
That's I don't know what happened there. I'm gonna just move on because I got nothing, man. PSG with a 2,000 gold lead at 9 minutes. Juhan can pretty freely take this Rift Herald now. We're the site of a very bizarre and very elaborate tactical int, I want to say.
But now they are set up to try and just go for a dive here because, again, 665, he just died top lane. He's going to path towards bot to clear those camps, and that means Taco, he has to give up a lot. So it is incredibly detrimental for his top laner in this situation. And, I mean, 665, he's going to get himself caught out here.
Once again, comboing on, and it looks just so easy. 665 tried to get the smite down on the red for some health, stay alive longer, but Unified claims it and his life. Once again, getting a bit too greedy. Epic will try and push them back, but that's not really going to do all that much damage right now. 665 is trying a few tricks. I think he needs to go back to his own jungle and farm up, because right now it's just not working out. Kaiwing does get caught. Whale and Epic are going to get turned on by Unified, however. That's a lot of damage and forces the exhaust out of Epic. Crucial Summoner burned yet again.
Whale and Epic just not pathing in the same direction, so that's caused some issues in that trade. Of course, Unified still had that ultimate available to him, so even if they decided to jump straight onto Xayah, Xayah's still very, very safe, especially with the exhaust of his own. So right now, it's just really not been the Renata Tristana game. I mean, clearly they planned for this lane, but at the same time, the lane itself hasn't worked out because of Unified intelligently grabbing that exhaust and also just being Xayah.
I do think the farm game has not been at least out of control, and that was the worry I had looking at the Tristana, because if you get frozen out, there's not a lot you can do. You can try to like push back. Obviously, you can't freeze the lane as Tristana because of that explosive shot. So it does kind of winnow your options down from the get-go. So Whale at least has been able to keep up in the farm game. Unfortunately, Unified and Kaiwing have just really bullied out, gotten a kill for themselves apiece. And this is the extended range you can get from the Lovers duo as well. Unified is going to find even more damage onto Whale, zoning him away. This should be PSG opening up for this Infernal Drake.
Infernal left availables, they're going to turn their attention onto that, but 665 hoping that someone will path up towards that mid lane and get a pick.
Find Bay. Oh, Bay just flashes away. No Moonfall today. Juhan finishes off the dragon. It was a nice try, but not able to get anything done there. And we will have a Hex Rift this time around, Nightstar. Even more mobility.
Hex Rift is actually very interesting because it allows you to get better flank positions when it comes to setting up for these objectives. And what do you know, like MFT, this is the perfectly designed rift for them to set up plays. But, like, look at the map state. They've lost top tower 5 plates, bot tower 5 plates, no plates in mid, thankfully, but I mean your carry isn't going to be the rise, right? It's about this split push Gnar and also this lethality Xayah.
Yeah, at the moment they are definitely needing to stop the bleeding before they can take advantage of the beneficial rift that they're going to have. Currently at 5-1 in kills. It's a pretty hefty gold lead here for PSG, but I wouldn't say it's doomed just yet. Nightstar, not quite.
It certainly isn't quite yet, but...
Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh, 665. They're not gonna go for it. I think they knew he's doing this, but oof. Could have been smited away. Juhan definitely wanted to find the fight here, even the level disadvantage. And the chase is still on in the jungle while we're watching Bay and Wen down bot. What is happening? This is a bit of a wonky dance.
Certainly very strange dance. They might collapse onto Epa. Nope. Okay.
Gotta be careful.
And
gotta be careful diving Renata.
Yeah, absolutely. If you overextend, you still can get heavily punished. And for PSG, this is exactly where they want to be in the game, right? They have advantages, all of a sudden they just immediately slow things down and just say, All right, now it's up to you to try and find picks, but we're just going to play very conservatively and slowly just choke you out. And so far, it's worked to great effect in the fact that they've been undefeated since their first game.
Yeah, this is massive. PSG, 10 wins since the 1 loss, and looking to make it 11 to round out a 6-0 week. I mean, it's difficult to try and be as consistently good as PSG have been, even more so when they have to play double the games this week because of their games being on hold last week around. And yeah, I mean, it's just incredible to see this team really return to form. I would say they have a lot of skill, but aren't necessarily the strongest in every single role, but they just have so much better map awareness, so much better macro play than really any other team in the PCS at the moment.
Yeah, they're dealing with a lot of these wonky situations very, very well, and they've been very consistent with their play, which is not what can be said about a lot of these other teams. Yeah. Consistency is what gets you through a regular season, and 665.
Okay, you're going to bring a lot of folks to the party here, but they are still able to turn back, and again, 665, even through the bailout, still gets deleted. Taco now trying to find an answer, but he doesn't have the damage. It's a good split from PSG. Can Wen do something? They just needed to get together a little faster, and he's run out of steam as well. Can't quite get it done. Whale and Epic will be the only people left to tell the tale as PSG clean up in the MFT jungle.
Yeah, PSG, they find the pick onto 665 once more, and wow, he is able to unload his cooldowns. It's not enough.
No. Oh, Big Nar! There's another bailout there, so Whale, at the very least, lives for a few seconds, question mark? I feel like at this point, Epic is kind of just like, he's just like giving everybody a Tom Kench. Like, or I guess more of a Scion passive, right? Like, just for a few seconds.
I mean, Chemtech's soul got removed, so they had to find a way to put it back in.
I remember people just being like, oh, I see what you're doing, right?
665, he goes in, immediately gets exhausted, like, there's just... Or actually, he didn't even get exhausted. He just didn't get a whole lot of damage off.
Also,
he is so far behind.
Picture-in-picture, 665 goes down yet again.
Surprise.
Oh boy. Taco TP is way too late to make anything happen here as Epic's trying to sit under tower. Whale's here as well. So much poke damage. Unified just dishing out a lot of damage now on this lethality Xayah. There's going to be a Rift Herald popped in mid. And we wash, rinse, repeat. PSG. You talked about slowing it down. They've kind of just been able to keep the pace, in all honesty, because MFT keep opting into these fights.
Yeah, MFT, I mean, it's not even opting into these fights, they just keep getting caught out.
I guess there's that.
Not even an opportunity to fight back. Like, they don't have really any control over their own jungle, they continually get picked off. The team's just not in position to respond as well. And yeah, we get to see the replay. This was actually a lot of effort expended to kill 665. But we know if you are able to pick him off a couple of times, this team falls apart very quickly because he does go a bit on tilt.
And he goes a bit too deep right now. Tries for another Moonfall, and down he goes. Oh dear. Right now, Whale now under fire, and Juhan with a kickback. That is going to be enough, even through Taco's ultimate. PSG just do not care, and MFT do not have the damage. Here's Bay to cut them off. Into Rune Prison goes Epic. And even though Wen flashes away, I think this is going to be lights out.
I have to agree.
There he goes. Oh boy. This is a little unfortunate. You know, 665 might want to just, like, remove a number from his name, because he's 06 at this point. I don't even know if he's going to get 5 assists, excuse me. Tongue-tying myself today.
It's, not a whole lot to be said here, Pyra. I think the gameplay is explaining itself, for the most part.
Are you saying we're obsolete as casters?
For this
Hanabi?
Yes.
Oh, bye, Taco. Youch.
Yeah.
Hanabi had a midnight snack. 665. Gonna try to collapse.
Not against
look at how big.
Hullbreaker.
It's Hullbreaker. It's 3-level advantage. He's gonna flash. Whale and Epic are here. I mean, if Hanabi gets out or gets another kill, never mind. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Whale, he's got to bail out, but he really needed a stimulus plan because there's nothing he can do here. Finally, they shut down the Gnar, but at what cost, Nightstar? I think the answer is damn near their entire team.
It's fine. They got what they came for.
Oh boy.
I don't know what to say about this game.
I know what to say. I'm a little sad. I'm a little sad, Nightstar, because we're not gonna get the dancing PSG mod.
Yeah, that is a little bit disappointing. I would have liked to at least keep it interesting. And, you know, maybe MFT still lose at the end, but it would have been nice to keep him on his toes, keep the suspense going.
Yeah, this has just been, I mean, it really has been just the positioning errors, especially from 665, but there's just not much they can do. Part of it is PSG are just so damn good, and I almost feel like we're kind of getting back to that situation we were last split, even with a different mid-jungle of like, oh hey, PSG, really dominant, they just have better macro. I think it also helped that you had Maple and River, who were insane, but at the same time, this PSG looking good, and they are looking to close early here. Kaiwing goes in, sets up the play. 1-2, down goes Epic, down goes 665. Wen tries to get unified back, but he's stopped up for days. And Hanabi, even in mini Gnar, is just able to 1v2, looking for Whale, gets one. Taco can't finish the job. It's just too easy, and I think we might be on par for a very fast finish.
Oh man, it looks like we are going to. Well, I don't know if they're just going to end it here because.
No, they'll take it safe. They'll take it safe.
Yeah, the death timers aren't quite there for them.
Oh, Taco. Okay, that's one. That's two. Hey, Taco got two back, and he lives.
We did it.
All right, there you go. How's that for interesting?
I don't know if that's interesting enough.
Juhan's having a giggle afterwards. Oh my gosh, he's got himself a black cleaver, by the way.
Something happened, so you know what? We'll take it. Something positive happened for MFT, and you know what? When you're in college, it's all about that PMA, Pyra. Positive mental attitude.
There you go. But I don't know if they're going to get much out of this particular play. What a dive setup from Kaiwing. They can go deep with the Rakan. Wen tried so hard to carve off a couple of turkey legs, but he just couldn't get anything. And even Hanabi soloing out onto the Tristana. I mean, that's how you know something's gone a little wrong there. I mean, Gnar can dish a lot of damage, but still starving MFT out of their own jungle, out of their own base. Baron should be pretty free here. I would think they might just start it up.
Yeah, I mean, they can pretty much do whatever they want. Hanabi, at the very least, gone for the try-first build, so it means that he can go ahead and just 1v1 to 80 carry with that level advantage, of course. And Whale, he's gone for the Kraken Slayer to try as he might get a kill. But now it's going to be that round warp up in the top lane. They have someone should go back to get the other minions, but I think this will be the final push, Pyra.
No minions, no problem. They can shred through this tower like it is made of paper. Looking for a 23-minute close here for PSG, trying to bait MFT into a fight. In fact, there is actually a back coming through, and that is going to be the Rise, as Bait picks up a Frozen Heart, teleports straight back in on top of the minion. Pretty confident to be able to do that, and MFT just kind of forming themselves into a bit of a turtle shell, and oh boy, the damage. Whale has to walk it back to the fountain again. They need to find a desperation fight. You can't just roll over and let yourself get taken out, but so little damage on their side and so much on the opposite team. Here's the desperation. Taco gets into the back, but he just doesn't do enough. And meanwhile, Whale and Epic were forced out. That's gonna be the closer. It's just Whale and Epic, but they cannot defend even from Fountain Point. And even Kaiwing's getting into the mix with a double kill. PSG will close out their Super Week 6-0, and they stand alone atop the PCS.
PSG clean 6-0 week, which means that they are at the top of the standings. They are much farther along their development than I could have hoped for. So congratulations to yet another successful opening. Hey, here's the thing. At the very least, they don't go 17-1 and lose the last game of the split. They set it up early on, so it takes off the pressure.
Yeah, there you go. You know, they give themselves the momentum going forward as they really only face planted in the one against their rivals Beyond Gaming. I do think that rematch is going to be spicy. But for PSG Talent, I mean, what is there to say that hasn't already been said? This team has gotten together with their new mid-jungle duo. They found a lot of success. Are Juhan and Bay as strong individually as River and Maple? No, but it seems like they've slotted in incredibly well. And, you know, the team is pretty vocal about how this was more of a long-term investment to try and build them up. They obviously have, you know, another bench warmer as well that is getting some experience over on Frank Esports in the guys Pretender. But this is a team that's really found a good 5-stack. They have not necessarily, I think, been tested in some of their drafts. They've been looking comfortable in everything they've played. And I just wonder who in the PCS is going to be able to challenge them. There were a lot of early frontrunners. There's CFO. There's Deep Cross Gaming. There's, of course, Beyond as well. And I think J-Team is also in the mix. But so far, no one but Beyond have been able to do it. That was very early in the split. This is PSG Talent, baby. They're back.
I think the biggest thing for PSG is that they haven't shown really any cards when it comes to the draft phase. It's been a lot of stock standard. Maybe, like, I guess the most curveball pick is the Zaya Rakan, but
when there's triple AD bans, right?
Yeah, something has to change, right? If everything's getting banned in that bottom lane, you're going to see something a little bit different. So PSG, that's the scary part. They haven't had to adapt strategies quite yet. It's just been, hey, we're just going to do this. You have no answer to it, so we just win. Yeah. So maybe in playoffs, we'll get to see something a little bit different. But for now, like, until someone, I guess, proves them wrong with their play style, they'll just keep winning with this. And there's no need to change anything.
Yeah, so PSG, I mean, the only thing to worry about there is to get lulled into a false sense of security. But when the playoffs do roll around, maybe we will see that adaptation. Maybe we'll see that change. If not sooner, if teams can force them onto the back foot. So far, hardly anyone's been able to do it. But for MFT, I liked the interesting style of draft, but it just came down to execution because the problem was that there wasn't any. I mean, I don't think we hardly saw a hostile takeover. A lot of bailouts just ended up prolonging the inevitable. If anything, Taco was the standout performer, right? Because he got into the back line. We saw some really good slicing maelstroms, but there just wasn't any follow-up damage. Wen was never going to be able to pick off a target because he was starting to fall off. 665 just never really got in gear and was caught out constantly. And unfortunately, the combo down bot never really got to take off. And Hanabi earns the MVP this time around. Again, I maintain my stance. I think he's the only PCS top laner that should be allowed to play Gnar.
It also helps when you're really just winning across the map and you get to play to your Gnar timings. And he was able to really dominate the lane and also transition into some of these team fights where he got a couple of big Gnar plays. And he didn't have to do a whole lot because they were just killing 665 over and over again.
Yeah, he still did a lot of damage, right? Like over a fourth of the team's damage dealt by Hanabi. He was in mini Gnar quite a lot. And you could really see at the end there when he was just chasing down Whale in their own base. It's, of course, you know, Trinity forced the whole breaker when he's been on the side lane.
A whale of a time.
He really did. They tried to chase him down. I mean, that shutdown up top, I hope it was worth it because it costs almost everything, man. It's like the Thanos meme. Boy. Yeah, everybody on this team is good. I think PSG Talent are just looking so great. Well earned to close out their week and get 6-0, standing alone atop the PCS. And we've got one more game to play. It's going to be Frank Esports versus Hurricane Gaming. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.